Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my 9.17 patch notes. I haven't done a patch note rundown in a long time, but it is, content I should be doing. I just was too busy with other things, but excuses aside, let's get down right to it. 9.17 patch notes. So patch notes are becoming more and more important because Worlds is coming up, because Gauntlet is coming up, because playoffs are in session for a lot of the regions. It is one of the most important patch states, and any changes that are being made are going to be almost final leading up to Worlds. So yeah, every patch is super important, so let's review it. Patch 9.17 notes. Hey buff herders, we're still holding off on going too crazy with balance changes until after 9.19, the patch that Worlds will be played on. But we do have some bigger adjustment to Aurelion Sol and Kill this patch. Mainly, we're helping them in their respective spaces they're weak in, and that make them difficult to be seen as viable or reliable picks. Overall, Aurelion Sol should now be more comprehensible with more satisfying signs of successful play, and Kill should have more of a laning phase without feeling like a complete wet noodle. That's all folks. Alright, patch highlights, we can skip that. Skins, that's not what you guys are here for, so we can skip that. Alright, let's get right to it. Aurelion Sol. So, Aurelion Sol historically is a very, I wouldn't say problematic, but when he's playable, he's a very prominent and very interesting champion you need to watch out for in pro play. Because in pro play, priority means so much. In solo queue, priority doesn't mean jack shit. But in pro play, having priority over the other laner, especially in early game, to help with the scuttle fights or to make early game roams is extremely strong. And when Aurelion Sol is strong, he can get priority so easily just due to how the stars floating around him work. So if he's buffed enough, that's a champion we definitely have to worry about in pro play, and that will definitely see pro play, especially now in the current patch. Early game priority means more so than ever before. Passive damage decrease, AP ratio now flat, stars are no longer disabled by CC, Q cooldown now scales, movement speed increase, stars will keep up with Aurelion Sol. W now expands stars and rotates at a decaying speed, cooldown increase, cost no longer increases over time, E passive movement speed removed, range and cooldown altered, speed now scales. Okay, so a lot of changes. Let's read what they actually are. We're making Aurelion Sol more vulnerable to counterplay in the early game so that we have room to buff his scaling and presence in the late game. His adjusted W should also help make him a more approachable champion to those new to him, with clear indicators of success and more satisfying in-game payoff. So that was definitely a thing where Aurelion Sol later on in teamfight was kind of useless, where the only combo you had was Q, R, and then reactivate Q. So you would shoot your Q and then you would use your R to push people back and then you would stun them. Like that was literally one of the only things you could do in a team fight. If you got CC'd, your stars wouldn't work, like you would die, and you also have to be in pretty close range to do damage, and you didn't really have escapes, and you were kind of squishy. People would build Roa on him, but he would still be a pretty squishy champion. So they're making him a little bit more easier to play while making his stars a little bit weaker early. I'm not sure what kind of effect that's going to have on him. He needs to have a dominant lane phase for him to work. He is a roaming champion and kind of an okay team fighter. It doesn't matter how much they buff his like team fighting strength later on. Like he's not going to compare to the other mages in terms of putting out damage. So if his early game isn't strong enough where he can't dominate most of the laners and roam around the map and affect other parts of the map, he's just not going to be useful even if you buff his team fight. Alright, so let's read the W and passive changes because I think those are the most important. So AP ratio is flat across the board now, it doesn't scale. Damage is nerfed early. When Aurelion Sol pushes his star, okay, let me go turn off the fan real quick. When Aurelion Sol pushes his star out to the outer limit, they gain increased damage and rotate at a high but decaying speed. After 3 seconds, or if Aurelion Soul reactivates it early, the stars will retract and grant Aurelion Soul 40% movement speed to king over 1.5 second. So when you retract your stars, you get movement speed. That's so weird. You would want it when it gets activated, not when you retract your stars. But the cooldown on it goes so low later on in the game. So it's 40 mana plus 22, 20. Okay, so like around level 5, you would keep it on for 5 or 6 seconds. So 26 times 5, that would be 130 plus 40, 170. Wow, so mana cost is actually a lot more manageable now, but the duration is only 3 seconds. So I don't think you can clear creeps fast enough. If you can't clear creeps fast enough, like what Aurelion Soul used to do is when the creeps line up like this, you would line up here and then your stars would clear the wave extremely quickly. I don't think he'll be able to do that anymore, so I don't think he'll see competitive play. I mean, this E-change, it doesn't matter too much. Just really think about the stars, and I don't think he'll be able to do the fast clear early game, so competitively, I don't think he'll see that much play. Alright, let's go to Galio. Q cooldown decrease, W min and max damage increase. Galio has been underperforming for the last few patches, so we're helping him out to keep him competitive against other choices. I mean, my problem with Galio is, I think support Galio is really bad for the game. They nerfed the flash W, like the flash taunt aspect of support Galio. And why? Okay, I'll explain why I think support Galio is bad. It's really bad that the melee champion has engage, he has wave clear and poke, and he has like burst potential. Like the tools they gave Galio was to make him like a solo laner, and then when he's being played in support, it does a lot of weird things. It's kind of the reverse of Pyke. The tools they gave Pyke was to be a support champion, but when he gets played in solo lanes, he does like really toxic things. I think support Galio does really toxic things, like the kill potential he had with Flash W, and now with like the Flash W removed, he has no way to really approach. Like his approach is super obvious with like the E, and then boom, it's a really obvious engage, so it doesn't really get played that much in pro play. So I don't know, I think Riot really just needs to kill support Galio, make him scale off of AP a lot more, and just try to make him more of a solo laner, and it'll be much more healthier. Kalista, base attack damage, mana, and mana growth increase. Buffing Kalista in this specific way so she can succeed more in the hands of an average player and generally in wider range of games. I mean, they're just making her, giving her base stat increase, and their goal with this change is more people play Kalista because she's an extremely niche champion. I think that's fine in a sense. Like Kalista's kind of like Ribbon, not on the extreme state as like Ribbon, where if you don't put hundreds of games into Ribbon, you can never play Ribbon at full level. But there's a lot of things you need to do with Kalista, like master her passive, master how you use auto Q, master how you use Ren. So she is a high mastery curve champion, and they're just trying to make her easier to play. Kayle, passive bonus adjusted for all 4 forms. Q now refunds mana, cast delay, missile speed, and range decrease, cast time updated. Enemy shred decrease, but duration increased. E bonus damage decreased later. Ratio increased. On hit ratio updated. Are now scales. Radius increased. Just a lot of text. Let's try to figure out what they mean. We're shifting power into Kayle's early game at the cost of some of her late game carry potential. Kayle should still be a weaker champion early who ascends into a god, but she and her opponent should now have more influence on whether or not she gets there. It's kind of like a binary playstyle. I'm not sure how healthy it is. You're weak unless you hit this certain point, and when you hit this certain point, you become a god. It almost feels like a card game, like in Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, where you hit your win condition, like your win, like your bomb card at a certain turn with certain amount of mana. Let's read the changes and I'll try to give a more complete opinion. Kale Ascend. Okay, so a Ryzen form at level 6 and a Flame form at level 11. Oh, so she has no level 16 form anymore? If I read it correctly. Zealous bonus movement speed, 8% when exalted in all direction. All basic attacks. So now you can do it off of structure, a Ryzen attack range. Your range is a little bit shorter than it used to be. Horizon attack speed per stack, this is removed. Kale's bonus attack speed from her Jealous form no longer increases to 10%. Bonus attack speed per stack when Kale isn't our Horizon form. Oh, what the fuck is a Horizon form? Right, it makes it so hard. Fire waves no longer deal true damage. Okay. Transcendent, when Kale is in her Transcendent form, she gains additional 50 range for a total of 575 attack range on basic attack. So that's her level 16 form. I'm pretty sure Transcendent form. Form level order of Ryzen and a Flame. I don't know what a Ryzen and a Flame does. Riot, you have to explain things much more clearer. If I don't understand, how the hell is like a casual viewer gonna understand? Now refund 15% of the mana for each champion hit with it. So if you use it as a harassing tool, it is not as heavy on the mana. Cast delay is much lower. Missile speed is slower. Range got nerfed very slightly. 15% of targets. Okay, so they changed a little bit so you can use it as a harass tool a lot easier earlier on. E Starfire Spellblade. This is our range hit thing. Our Divine Judgment. Radius. Okay, the biggest changes I feel like are coming from her passive, but it's really hard to understand because Riot did not do a great job of. Okay, so Horizon form at level 6. Now I know what it is though. Horizon form is the one that gives her range. So she's gonna start having range at level 6. Just explain it like that. I think that's the biggest change, if anything. The fact that she becomes a range champion at level 6, not at 11. That actually changes a lot. I think Kale's late game, like the level 16 late game, is definitely a strong win condition. It was just so hard to reach in pro play. Because you're going to say, but Loco, if you look at the average pro play, the game time is blah, 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 and Kale can hit level 16 before blah, 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 so she'll be fine. But the thing is, most of the game is decided within, I would say, minute 5 to minute 15. That's where most of the game is done. Like, the team that gets first herald is in massive lead. They're able to get so much turrets, they're able to set up for Dragon, and then after 15 minutes, it just leads into Baron, and if you have a lead, most good teams will snowball that lead into Baron control. So I would say the most important part of the game is 5 to 15 right now, and Kale is still going to be pretty useless between 5 to 15 minutes of the game. So I don't think she's going to see that much competitive play, but being a range champion at level 6 instead of level 11 is a huge change. So I am going to be cautious about saying this change is not going to matter too much. So we'll see. I'll put a few games into her in solo queue and see how I feel about it. Leona, Q cooldown decrease 1. Okay. I mean, Leona already saw some competitive play, and this is nice. Just the thing about Leona compared to someone like Alistar, right? That's where she gets compared to a lot because both are engaged champions that are tanky and that are melee. Leona can only be played in an offensive manner. She has to engage. She has to be aggressive. Compare Leona to Alistar. Alistar can be played in a very defensive manner, and Alistar can peel. Like, when people are coming into your carry, Alistar can headbutt a melee carry away. Alistar can Q multiple targets on top of your carry. So Alistar just is so much more flexible than Leona, and that's something she's always going to get compared to. So I think Leona needs to be so good as an aggressive engager, and that has to be her identity for her to not be shadowed so much by Alistar. Lucian, base AD increased. Give Lucian a bit more power in the early laning phase to punish champions who have been able to run around freely without fear. I mean, not seeing play, so a little bit of buff is always nice. Nico can now deactivate her passive without taking damage or casting another ability. I guess this is more of a quality of life change, doesn't matter too much. Pantheon, Q thrust now grants execute damage, E monster damage reduction, remove. So they want to make jungle Pantheon more viable. I honestly haven't seen a single Pantheon in solo queue, and I think he's disabled for pro play, so it's really hard to say where Pantheon is right now. I'll follow up on this on the next patch note. Kiana, E base damage decrease, R cooldown flatten. This is a straight nerf. I'll say this about Kiana. She's in a really weird place in competitive play where few teams play her, and she's incredibly OP in hands of the few that do play her, and most of the teams don't even touch her at all. So hard to really place her competitive value at the moment, but I'm guessing Riot feels like she's too oppressive in solo queue. Then again, you made an assassin with CC that's able to one-shot people during the full duration of the CC combo, the ult into river, like the river route. So definitely a design fail in my opinion. Rise, base magic resist increase. Now that Rise has proven he can be useful without overloading his enemies in competitive play, we think it's safe to give him a smidge more survivability. Rise is one of those champions where his ultimate is going to be near useless in solo queue and really strong in competitive play. There's just certain champions that are like that makes it impossibly hard for them to balance. So yeah, I think he's either going to be OP and competitive, and he's just one of those harder ones. So I'm not going to touch too much on this. Zyra, our cost flatten, cooldown decrease. We're giving Zyra more opportunity to burst down our enemies. Okay, I mean, nice change. Zyra is a champion that does run out of mana. She's very oppressive in lane. We do see slight competitive play with her in LCS with Biofrost playing her time to time, but it's just engaged champions are so much better, and you have to be extremely oppressive in lane. But when you're extremely oppressive in lane, champions like Jarvan make your life hell. Okay, free to play, I don't really care. I own all champs. Buck fixes, I don't really care. Skins, I don't really care. Okay, overall, I think the biggest changes and things we have to worry about the most are Kayle and Aurelion Sol. If they get into competitive play, these are meta-defining champions. Like, if these champions are viable for competitive, these are meta-defining champions. So this patch is either very non-impactful or very impactful, depending on where Aurelion Sol and Kayle lands. And I think both are potentially possible to see competitive play. Well, if I had to make a bet, I don't think either will see competitive play, but I'm not 100% these champions will not see competitive play. There are definitely aspects that make me worry, especially the Kayle range format level 6 and the Aurelion W. If the creep clearing is possible within that 3 seconds, then that is something that is very important. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the patch notes. I haven't done this in a while. I'll definitely do one for 9.18 also. That's the world's patch. So later, boys. Oh, wait, they didn't touch YUUMI at all! Riot! Riot! Oh my god. Editor, put this in. How did you not touch YUUMI at all? Riot. YUUMI is almost permabanned from purple. The counterplay to YUUMI is just so little and so punishing when you mess up. How did you not touch YUUMI? And how did I notice you didn't touch YUUMI? Please, Riot. YUUMI nerf before Worlds or that champion's gonna be permabanned.